Namaste. Welcome to our 79th talk on the Bhagavad Gita. Some of the things I'll mention that we're going to find here will seem to us maybe very externalized, very material, but nothing is purely material. It is, of course, rooted in spirit, but also everything has a vibration. Therefore, if we surround ourselves with uh, objects, environment, even the very walls of a house of a particular quality, sattva, rajas, or tamas, it will affect us. So it's very practical. And there are things that we often don't think. We say, well, that doesn't matter. Well, that's just a little thing. When you are planning to get to the highest, there's nothing that is absolutely little to the degree that it's inconsequential. You don't need to bother. You need to at least look at it well, honestly, and then say, well, that's true. That is something I don't need to bother with. But discrimination, viveka, is very important. All right, here we go. Because discipline is a part of spiritual life, but then there's the way of going all haywire on it. We're going to see about that. Those who practice extreme austerities not ordained by the scriptures. I don't know why, but during the yoga boom, uh, it was a systemic kind of obsession. Fasting. I'm going on a water fast. I'm going on a lemonade fast. They would. I know one a really fine young woman. She was going to talk to her guru, who was a phony guru, and therefore she not only just went on a fast, but she took all kinds of laxatives and diuretics. See, what do people say? Clean out your system. So, all that, so she would be pure to talk to her. But you see, the utmost purity is in the mind. And that, the quality of your mind comes from your diet. But purity of diet doesn't guarantee a pure mind because you can choose to think of degrading things. But there was just this thing. So there are people, they do this, and there are people that hate themselves. So there's two kinds of hate themselves people. The kind of spiritual ones that do all this outrageous stuff. So they'll harm themselves, they'll harm their health, and they'll say, well, that was bad for me. I'm giving that up. I'm not going to be a yogi anymore. And then there are those who just with self-loathing, they just want to hurt themselves. They don't even have that secondary benefit for their negativity. And so there are people who do that. Well, I shouldn't sleep too much. I read about how sleep was tamasic. So they make themselves stay awake. Or it'll be, I'm going to meditate 12 hours uninterruptedly. They want to burn themselves out so they'll have an excuse to do nothing. They'll do too much so they won't have to do anything. There we are. So, those who practice extreme austerities not ordained by the scriptures, accompanied by hypocrisy and egotism. In other words, they have ulterior, negative motive behind it. And also, so people say, guess what? I completed a 36-hour meditation. Oh, you did? Really? Yes, that's right. Oh, no, I only eat every other day, or this and that, you see. So people will know how virtuous they are. As Jesus said, verily they have their reward, in other words, themselves, accompanied by hypocrisy and egotism, along with the force of raga and dvesh, attraction and aversion. Uh, these people also emotionally are very, very much uncontrolled and undisciplined. Senselessly torturing in the body the entire aggregates of the elements. In other words, all the things that comprise our makeup that are, in a sense, God's gift to us, then they torment it. They try to destroy it. You see, they are. I remember there was a young man one time that boom went from the spiritual life, and the man was trying to help him with his spiritual life. Said he wasn't bothered or drawn away from spiritual life by demons. He was his own demon. So there are people, they truly are their own enemy. We say that. So then, senselessly torturing in the body the entire aggregates of the elements, and me within the body, because they hate their very self. When it says the me, it doesn't mean they necessarily think they hate God. They have that concept. It means they hate themselves, and well, their ultimate self is the Atman, and the Atman is also part of God. So to hate the Atman is to hate the Paramatman. So they are then gripped in that. Know them to be of demonic resolves. Doesn't matter if, well, they mean well or they don't understand or etc. There's no excuse made. Like ignorance is ultimately an evil thing in itself, isn't it? The food also liked by each one is threefold. Oh boy. As is sacrifice, tapasya, that's discipline, and almsgiving, charity, even, in other words, good deeds. All right, let's get ready. Hear the distinction of them. Foods increasing life, vitality, purity, strength, health, happiness, cheerfulness. Understand that this a lot comes from diet. You notice people that are obsessed with food, and they especially have these kind of really um, stringent and eccentric diets. You notice they're usually sort of glum people, or they're else just kind of like nervous people, because that is their mind, and then they make their mind worse by what they're attracted to. So, but foods increasing life, purity, strength, health, happiness, cheerfulness, flavorful. I remember one time at lunch, somebody cooked some food for Swami Kriyananda, whom I was visiting, and myself. And oh, tasteless, boring, characterless. And I said, you know, Swamiji, that was, and of course the cook was gone. I said, that is really boring food. She said, well, he said, oh, of course, boring people cook boring food. So that's one way you can somehow gauge people. Flavorful, smooth, that is, you know, it's not like you grind your teeth to break it up and it can stick in your teeth or stick in your tongue like you're eating brambles. But it's pleasant in the eating, just the texture. Firm, not just some stuff like the people that like to go on the water fasts. Um, Firm and substantial. There's really something to it. It isn't just like, see, fruit, for example, people are very much in favor of that, but it's mostly water. It's mostly just liquid. So there are vitamins and so on, but there is no substance. So then there are, oh, I'm a fruitarian. It's bad enough to be on the raw food, but then a raw fruitarian. So they're eating nothing and their health goes to nothing. And then, first thing to blame is spiritual life. Next thing to blame is just wanting to be healthful. Not going to be a health nut anymore. So, yes, they are liked by the Sattvic. Let's say it again: increasing life, purity, strength, health, happiness, cheerfulness, flavor, smooth, firm, and substantial. The Sattvic like that. If you think you're spiritual, look at your diet, your natural diet. You didn't have to hear me say it and then you decided to cover it up. Okay, now let's go to the next guna. Foods that are pungent, I mean, sort of when you taste them, sour, excessively, salty, very salty, excessively hot. Now, he doesn't say hot. There are some that have the idea should be utterly bland, shouldn't have anything, nothing like some cayenne pepper or chili peppers or anything. I remember Dr. Ghosh, wonderful man, fine yogi, a disciple of Mahavatar Babaji, who told me that he had at one point been very much into the bland thing. Now, Mahanandamai didn't eat enough to keep anyone alive, but she did eat occasionally because she ate a bit, so she still had the habit of eating, and which was about all it did. And she did not feed herself. She'd come to a point where she didn't feed herself. The why and wherefore, anyone who wanted to try to understand Mother is welcome. Who knows why she did what she did? She just did it. So uh, other people fed Mom. Now, when I say they fed her, uh, it would hardly be even a cup of food, but it would be rice with a little something in it, a little bit of dal, like lentils, split peas, and so on. So uh, I've been there. I've watched Ma eating, and as I say, there was hardly enough more than I could put in my hand, and she didn't eat all of that. So the rest of that is considered prasadam. It's blessed by her, though she didn't touch it physically. That was given to her. So little bits of it were taken and given to the devotees. And some was given to Dr. Ghosh, and he put it in his mouth, and though he was Indian and though he was used to food, it was really hot. He said, Ma eats chilies. Like, oh, because they like to say no chilies. No chilies, no onions, no garlic, etc. And he said, oh, yeah, sure, of course she does. See, Sri Ramakrishna used to say when people were cooking for him, put enough spices in it to make a pig squeal. Oh, see? So anyway, pungent, sour, salty, excessively hot, but excessively hot. Not anything wrong with that because you see, that's good for it. It tones up your whole digestive system and it stimulates it so that your food goes through. Harsh, that can even be physically harsh. So if you eat it, you feel a little dizzy. Astringent, again, caustic almost, and burning, producing pain, grief, and disease. Well, a lot of people do that. They eat and they say, "Oh, I'll never do that again." Or, I've known people that they eat and then they go vomit it up in toilet. They call themselves yogis. That was supposedly the way to get detached from food. Uh, it's interesting, especially Raja yogis. They're obsessed with food. In fact, they're greedy people. Papa Ramdas discovered that when he was doing sadhana. He ate very little, very sattvic, and then someone said, "Well, you should practice Raja Yoga. You've got to do pranayama and so on." So he did it, and he started being hungry all the time and wanting things, and he started saying, "Could you bring me this to eat? Could you bring me that to eat? Could you cook this for me?" and so on. And then he realized, "Am I a yogi anymore? I'm a one-man menu in a restaurant for myself." And so he quit the pranayama, and then all that greed went away. It's very definitely true. I mean, I know it. I've observed it. And when I foolishly practiced that nonsense, it didn't kind of overwhelm me. But yeah, I was sure thinking plenty about food and well, I would like this, I would like that, and so on. But with my fellow yogis, it was outrageous. Okay, so ultimately, it produces problems physically, but the Rajasics like it. Now we're going to come to the Tamasics, who always pretend to be Sattvic. You may have some experience of this. That which is stale, aged, 100-year-old eggs, Zen macrobiotics. Yes. Eggplant that was buried in the ground and then brought out. Okay. Or how about toothpaste made out of decaying eggplant? That's also macrobiotic. They stale, tasteless, putrid, left over to the next day. You see, India is a tropical country and nothing like refrigeration. Therefore, food should not sit overnight and then be eaten because it it can have degenerated enough that it's unhealthy. And often degenerating food develops certain chemical content that is bad for us. Quite true. Now, of course, they have lots of refrigerators throughout India, and this isn't such a point. But at that time, and the time I went to India, it was. The remnants of food eaten by others. Now, that's really important. Don't let anybody, come on, we're coming up to a, okay. Don't let anybody say, "Oh, could I have that? That looks good," and take it off your plate. They are taking your prana. They are energy vampires. Or they say, "Oh, here, you take that." They're trying to push their negative prana off onto you. I remember once when I was teaching some classes in drugless therapies in Hawaii. There was this old woman who was chronically ill, and this was her main thing. "Oh, could I have some of that? Come on, here, have some of mine, have mine, have some of mine." I explained when she wasn't there. I didn't want to upset her. I said, "Listen, she is passing her disease vibrations on to you and taking your health vibrations away from you. Don't ever again let her pull, don't let her get anything off your plate, don't let her put it on, unless, of course, you don't care." But people do this, you see. They do this a lot. They sometimes do this with clothes too. They'll give clothes to somebody and want to take somebody else's clothes. The excuse is, "Oh, the fit, that it looks better on you, or it looks better on me," and so on. But so people do this energy exchange. And it's very important to realize that this is really very wrong. Of course, meat is filth. It's a decaying animal body. It is the lowest, and therefore it's the lowest energies because it's not just animal energies, it's decaying animal energies, and it goes into your mind and your body. And then what will your health be? And what will your mental health be? Especially just the ability, see, a sattvic mind is fluidic. So just to be able to comprehend spiritual principles, that requires a pure and sattvic diet, as well as for your health. So you see, real yoga, real sadhana pervades your entire life. If you have a little area of your life you don't want religion or philosophy or yoga to go into, then forget Sanatana Dharma, please. We've got enough idiots that are messing up uh, their unpractice of Dharma. And we don't need any more hypocrites, and we don't need any more losers, which is what you will be. So kindly leave it alone. It's such as like I mentioned before, Will Cuppy, the humorist, wrote about Peter the Great, Frederick the Great of Germany. And he said he loved music, but not enough to leave it alone because he insisted on trying to play musical instruments, and he was just awful. So, anyway, on that judgmental note, we should end. Thank you very much. Sorry for the stammering and the stuttering and the occasional uh, blips and bloopers. Uh, that's part of my stock and trade I have to offer. Unfortunately, I wish I could give you something better, but I'm all I've got. So therefore, namaste, namaste. Thank you, thank you.